My name is Andrea, and this is the story of how my best friend of 15 years tried to destroy my life, and how karma hit her harder than I ever could have planned. I met Sophie when we were both 23, fresh out of college and starting our first real jobs at the same marketing agency in Seattle. She was vibrant, funny, the kind of person who lit up every room she walked into. Within weeks, we were inseparable. She was the sister I never had, the person I told everything to, the one I trusted with my deepest secrets. For 15 years, we built our lives side by side. We were each other's plus ones at weddings. We nursed each other through breakups. When my dad died, Sophie held my hand through the entire funeral. When her mom got sick, I drove her to the hospital every single day for 2 weeks. We weren't just friends. We were family. By the time we hit our late 30s, our lives had taken different paths professionally, but we were still just as close. I'd climbed the corporate ladder steadily, eventually becoming creative director at a boutique marketing firm. The pay was good, really good, and I'd finally saved enough to start thinking about buying a house. Sophie had bounced around more. She was talented, absolutely brilliant with graphic design, but she struggled with authority. She'd quit jobs impulsively, burn bridges with bosses, always convinced that the next opportunity would be the one. She freelanced between positions, and while she was gifted, her income was unpredictable. I helped her out sometimes, alone here and there, covering dinner more often than not, letting her stay at my apartment when she was between places. That's what friends do, right? You help each other. I don't know what I'd do without you, Andy, she'd say, using the nickname only she was allowed to use. You're the only person who really gets me. And I believed her. Everything changed the day I met Marcus. I'd been single for 3 years after a brutal breakup, perfectly content with my life. When I matched with Marcus on a dating app, he was 41, a software engineer, handsome in that understated way, where you don't notice it immediately, but then suddenly can't stop noticing it. Smart, kind, emotionally available. The kind of man I'd honestly stopped believing existed. Our first date lasted 6 hours. We closed down the restaurant, then walked around downtown Seattle talking until 2 in the morning. By date 3, I was falling. By date 6, I was in love. I introduced him to Sophie after we'd been dating for 2 months. I was nervous. Her opinion mattered to me, and I really wanted them to get along. We met at this trendy wine bar Sophie had suggested. I got there first, and when Marcus arrived, I watched Sophie's face carefully as I introduced them. Sophie, this is Marcus. Marcus, this is Sophie, basically my sister. Sophie's smile was bright and warm as she shook his hand. I've heard so much about you. Andy hasn't stopped talking about you for weeks. All good things, I hope, Marcus said, with that easy charm that had captured me. Mostly, Sophie teased, and we all laughed. The evening went perfectly. Sophie and Marcus got along amazingly. They had similar taste in music. Both loved hiking, even had overlapping friend groups from college. Watching 2 of my favorite people bond felt like everything clicking into place. He's perfect for you, Sophie said later when Marcus went to the bathroom. She squeezed my hand across the table. Seriously, Andy, don't screw this one up. I'm trying not to, I admitted. I really think he might be the one, Soph. Then hold on tight, she said, her eyes sparkling. You deserve this. You deserve to be happy. Over the next few months, the 3 of us hung out regularly. Movie nights at my place, weekend hikes, dinners where Sophie would third wheel and joke about it. It felt natural, easy. My best friend and my boyfriend genuinely enjoyed each other's company. Marcus and I moved in together after 8 months. It was fast, maybe, but when, you know. We found this beautiful apartment in Capitol Hill with huge windows and exposed brick. I'd never been happier. Sophie helped us move in, pizza and beer afterward, christening the new place with laughter and terrible dance moves to 90s music. "This is your year," Sophie said, hugging me tight before she left that night. "Everything's finally coming together for you." She was right, or at least I thought she was. Marcus proposed on our 1-year anniversary. Nothing elaborate, just the two of us on a weekend trip to the San Juan Islands, watching the sunset from our rental cottage. He got down on one knee and said, "Andrea, you're my favorite person in the entire world. Will you marry me?" I said yes before he even finished the question. Sophie screamed when I FaceTimed her with the news. "Oh my God! Oh my God! Let me see the ring! Andy, I'm so happy for you." "I want you to be my maid of honor," I said. "Obviously. Who else would it be?" "Obviously," she agreed, wiping away happy tears. "We're going to plan the most amazing wedding. This is going to be perfect." Wedding planning consumed the next few months. Sophie threw herself into it with the intensity she brought to everything. She helped me try on dresses, made spreadsheets of vendors, created mood boards. She was more invested than I was sometimes. "You're going to be the most beautiful bride," she'd say, adjusting the veil during one of many dress fittings. "Marcus is the luckiest man alive." Things at work were going well, too. I'd been headhunted by a major firm, one of those prestigious places that could really launch your career to the next level. The offer was incredible. Chief Creative Officer, nearly double my current salary, equity in the company. It was everything I'd worked toward for 15 years. I was riding high, engaged to the love of my life. Dream job offer, best friend by my side. Everything was perfect. That should have been my first warning sign. Nothing is ever that perfect. The cracks started small, so small I almost didn't notice them. Marcus started working late more often, which made sense. He'd just taken on a big project at work. But he seemed distracted even when he was home, glued to his phone in a way he'd never been before. "Everything okay?" I'd ask. "Yeah, just work stress," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "Nothing to worry about." Sophie started canceling plans, which also made sense. She'd finally landed a steady job at a good agency and was trying to prove herself. But she'd become weirdly vague about her schedule. "Can't do dinner Thursday, sorry, work thing," she'd text. No details, no rescheduling, just distance. I told myself I was being paranoid. Everyone was just busy. That's what happens when you're in your late 30s. Life gets complicated. Then came the first real red flag. I was at Marcus's laptop one evening. Mine was updating, and I needed to check an email. He'd left it open on the coffee table. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I just opened the browser. His email was up, and right there, in the preview pane, I saw a message from Sophie. The subject line read, "Can't wait to see you." My stomach dropped. I shouldn't have read it. I knew I shouldn't. But my hand was already clicking before my brain could stop it. "Marcus, tonight was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you." "Same time tomorrow? S." The email was from 3 days ago. I stared at the screen, my brain trying to process what I was seeing. There had to be an explanation. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. Maybe it was about the wedding. But the tone, "Can't stop thinking about you," wasn't the tone of someone planning a surprise party. I scrolled down. There were more emails, dozens of them, going back months. My hands were shaking as I read through them. At first, they were innocent, friendly messages about meeting up for coffee, about work stuff. But they gradually shifted into something else. Compliments that were too intimate, inside jokes I wasn't part of. And then, about 2 months back, the first one that made everything crystal clear. "S. I know this is wrong. I know we shouldn't, but I can't help how I feel about you." "M. I feel it too. God, Sophie, what are we doing? S. I don't know. But I don't want to stop. I literally couldn't breathe." I sat there on my couch in the apartment I shared with my fiancé, reading evidence that he'd been having an affair with my best friend. My best friend of 15 years. The person I'd chosen to be my maid of honor. the person who'd helped me pick out my wedding dress. I don't know how long I sat there. Could have been minutes, could have been hours. Time didn't work right. Nothing worked right. When Marcus came home, I was still sitting there, his laptop open in front of me. "Hey, babe," he said, then stopped when he saw my face. "What's wrong?" I turned the laptop toward him. "Want to explain this?" I watched the color drain from his face, watched him struggle to find words, watched him realize there was no talking his way out of this one. "Andrea, how long?" My voice sounded strange, too calm, like it was coming from someone else. "It's not what you think." "How long?" I screamed, and that felt more real. The rage felt real. He flinched. 3 months. "But Andrea, it doesn't mean anything. I love you. I want to marry you. Sophie is just... It's just been a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake." "A mistake that lasted 3 months?" I said. "A mistake you made over and over and over again? That's not a mistake, Marcus. That's a choice." "I'll end it," he said desperately. "Right now. I'll call her right now and tell her it's over. Please, Andrea, don't throw away what we have because of this." I laughed, actually laughed. "What we have, we don't have anything." "Everything I thought we had was built on lies." "That's not true. Get out. Andrea, please. Get out." I threw his laptop at him. It hit the wall next to his head and shattered. "Get out of my apartment. Get out of my life. We're done." He left, and I sat alone in our apartment that suddenly wasn't ours anymore, staring at my engagement ring, trying to figure out how I'd been so stupid, so blind, so completely fooled by the two people I trusted most in the world. I should have called Sophie right then, should have confronted her immediately, but I didn't. I needed to think. I needed to understand what I was dealing with. So I did something I'm not proud of. I hacked Marcus's email. Well, not hacked exactly. I knew his password. We'd shared passwords like most couples do, and I read everything, every email, every message, every intimate detail of their affair. They'd been sleeping together for 3 months, just like Marcus said. It had started at one of our group hangouts. Too much wine, too much emotional intimacy, a kiss that just happened, then another, then more. But what made me physically ill was reading Sophie's messages about me. I feel terrible about this. Andrea is going to be devastated. Then maybe we should tell her the truth, that you're not happy, that you settled because she was safe and stable, but there's no real passion there. Safe and stable, like I was a sensible car he'd purchased, not a woman he'd claimed to love. She's been so stressed about work and the wedding. Maybe after everything calms down. Or maybe she's not the right person for you. Maybe that's what this is trying to tell you. Yeah, she'd been actively trying to steal him, actively undermining our relationship while pretending to be my best friend and maid of honor. There was a message from just last week that made me want to vomit. I love helping her plan this wedding. Knowing it's never going to happen, does that make me a terrible person? Probably, but I can't seem to stay away from you. Then don't. Choose me, Marcus. I know you want to. I spent the entire night reading through their messages, torturing myself with every detail. By sunrise, I knew everything. Every lie, every secret meeting, every time Sophie had looked me in the eye and lied to my face. And I realized something. I wasn't sad anymore. I was furious. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Then I started planning. See, Marcus and Sophie had made one critical mistake. They'd underestimated me. They thought I was safe and stable, someone who'd cry and forgive and eventually take Marcus back because I was too afraid to be alone. They had no idea who they were dealing with. First, I called my lawyer, the one who'd helped me with my employment contract for the new job. I told her everything and asked what my options were. She was thorough and creative, and by the end of that conversation, I had a plan. Then I went to work gathering evidence, screenshots of every email, every text message I could access, every receipt from hotels they'd gone to together. I documented everything with timestamps and dates. I didn't confront Sophie. Not yet. I just disappeared. I stopped answering her calls, stopped responding to her texts, asking if I was okay, if something was wrong, if she'd done something to upset me. Let her wonder. Let her worry. After 3 days of radio silence, she showed up at my apartment. "Andy, what's going on?" she demanded when I answered the door. "You've been ignoring me for days. Did something happen? Is it Marcus? Are you guys fighting?" I looked at her, really looked at her. My best friend of 15 years. The person I'd trusted with everything, and I saw a stranger wearing a familiar face. "Yeah," I said calmly. "We broke up. The engagement's off." Her eyes widened with what looked like genuine shock. She was good. I had to give her that. "Oh my God, Andy, what happened? Are you okay?" I found out he was cheating on me. I watched her face carefully, watched her process this information, watched her decide what role to play. "That bastard," she said, pulling me into a hug I didn't return. "I'm so sorry. Who was it? Do you know?" And there it was, the final confirmation that she was a better actress than I'd given her credit for. "Some woman from work," I lied. "Doesn't matter who. What matters is that I dodged a bullet, right? Better to find out now than after the wedding." "Absolutely," Sophie said, still hugging me. "You deserve so much better than him. I never liked him anyway." The lie was so blatant, so ridiculous, that I almost laughed. She'd spent a year telling me how perfect Marcus was for me. But sure, she'd never liked him. "I need some time," I said, pulling away from her. "I just need to be alone right now, process everything." "Of course," Sophie said, concern written all over her face. "Whatever you need. But Andy, I'm here for you. You know that, right?" "I'm always here for you." "I know," I said, and smiled at her. "You're my best friend. I don't know what I'd do without you." The relief on her face was palpable. She thought she'd gotten away with it, thought I was just another casualty in her games, none the wiser. She had no idea what was coming. Over the next 2 weeks, I put my plan into motion. First, I accepted the new job offer, Chief Creative Officer at one of the most prestigious marketing firms in Seattle. More money, more prestige, more power. Then I did something that surprised even me. I called Marcus. "Andrea," he answered on the first ring, sounding desperate. "Please, can we talk? I miss you. I made a terrible mistake." "I'm not calling to get back together," I interrupted. "I'm calling because I have a proposition for you." Silence. "I have evidence of your affair," I continued calmly. "Every email, every text, every hotel receipt, everything documented with dates and times." "What are you going to do with it?" He sounded scared. "That depends on you. See, I've been thinking you and Sophie deserve each other. You're both liars, both cheaters, both fundamentally selfish people who destroy everything around you to get what you want." "Andrea, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to break up with me publicly. Tell everyone that you realized you weren't ready for marriage, that you got cold feet, that it's entirely your fault. You're going to take full responsibility." "Okay," he said hesitantly. "I can do that." "And then," I continued, "you're going to start dating Sophie publicly, take her to all our favorite restaurants, post about her on social media. Make it very clear that you've moved on." "You want me to date Sophie?" He sounded confused. "Oh, I'm not asking. You're going to do it, because if you don't, I'm going to send all this evidence to your boss, and Sophie's boss, and to everyone in our friend group. I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what you both did." That's blackmail." "No," I corrected. "That's consequences. You wanted Sophie so badly, you get her. But you get her publicly. You get to watch everyone judge you for moving on so fast. You get to watch our friends take sides. You get to live with the awkwardness of explaining that yes, you started dating your ex-fiancé's best friend immediately after the breakup. And if I do this, you won't tell anyone about the affair?" "Not yet," I said. "I'm going to hold on to that information. Use it when the time is right." "This is insane." You don't get to call me insane, I snapped. You don't get to make me feel crazy. You did this. You made these choices. Now you get to live with them. So what's it gonna be, Marcus? Door number 1, where you do what I say and maybe keep some shred of your reputation. Or door number 2, where I burn your entire life to the ground? He agreed, of course. He was a coward at heart. Within a week, Marcus and I had our official breakup. He posted a long, apologetic message on social media about how he'd realized he wasn't ready for marriage, how I deserved better, how the fault was entirely his. Our friends flooded my inbox with support. You're better off without him. He didn't deserve you. His loss. I played the heartbroken ex perfectly. Gracious, sad, but strong. The picture of dignity. And then, exactly 2 weeks later, Marcus posted a photo with Sophie. The comments exploded. Are you kidding me? That's her best friend. How long has this been going on? This is so messed up. Sophie's Instagram got flooded with angry messages. Mutual friends started unfollowing her. People who'd known us both for years immediately took my side. Sophie called me, panicking. Andy, people are attacking me online. They think Marcus and I got together right after you broke up. They think I'm some kind of homewrecker. You have to tell them that's not true. But it is true, I said calmly. You did get together right after we broke up. I mean, that's when it became public anyway. You know what I mean. Tell them we weren't together before. Why would I tell them that? Silence. Andy, you know, don't you? I've known for 3 weeks, I said, since the night I found Marcus's emails. Then why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you confront me? Because I wanted to see what you'd do, I said. I wanted to see if you'd come clean, if you'd confess, if you'd show even an ounce of remorse. But you didn't. You hugged me and lied to my face and pretended to be my friend while actively sleeping with my fiancé. I'm sorry, she said. And she actually sounded like she might be. I'm so sorry, Andy. It just happened. We didn't mean for it to... Don't, I interrupted. Don't insult me with that "it just happened" bullshit. It didn't just happen. You made choices, dozens of them. Every time you met up with him, every time you lied to me, every time you helped me plan a wedding you knew would never happen. Those were choices. Sophie. I loved him, she said, like that explained everything. You loved him, I repeated. You've known him for a year. I've known you for 15. I've been there for every crisis, every breakdown, every time you needed someone. I've lent you money, given you a place to stay, supported every dream you've ever had. And you threw all of that away because you loved him. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did it anyway. That's the part you don't seem to understand. You knew it would hurt me, and you did it anyway because what you wanted was more important than 15 years of friendship. What do you want me to say? Sophie's voice was rising now. You want me to grovel? To beg for forgiveness? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. But Andy, he makes me happy. I know that's not what you want to hear, but it's true. I've never felt this way about anyone. You've felt that way about 6 different guys in the time I've known you, I said. This isn't special, Sophie. He's not special. In 6 months, you'll be bored, and you'll move on to the next guy who gives you attention. That's what you do. That's not fair. None of this is fair, I snapped. You want to be with him? Fine. Be with him. Live with the consequences of everyone knowing what you did. Live with the fact that every mutual friend we have thinks you're trash. Live with the fact that your own family is going to be disappointed in you when they find out. You're really going to tell people? She asked quietly. I don't have to, I said. You did that yourself the moment Marcus posted that photo. Everyone can do the math, Sophie. They're not stupid. I hung up. And I blocked her number. But I wasn't done. Not even close. See, Sophie had made another critical mistake. When she'd gotten her new job, the stable one at the good agency, she'd asked me to be a reference. I'd given her a glowing recommendation, helped her get hired, and that agency, it had a strict ethics policy about relationships and conduct that could damage the company's reputation. I didn't report her immediately. I waited, let her settle into her new relationship with Marcus. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they'd gotten away with it. 3 months later, when Sophie posted a photo of them on vacation in Mexico, using Marcus's money to fund a life she hadn't earned, I made my move. I sent an anonymous email to Sophie's boss, not from my work email, nothing traceable. Just a concerned colleague who thought the company should know that one of their senior designers had engaged in an affair with her best friend's fiancé, and that the timeline of photos and social media posts made it clear the affair had started while they were still engaged. I included screenshots, dates, evidence. The marketing world in Seattle is small. Reputation is everything, and Sophie had just become a liability. She was fired within a week. Marcus lasted a little longer at his company, but I'd planted seeds there too. Casual mentions to mutual connections about his character issues. Questions about whether someone who'd cheat on his fiancée could be trusted with confidential information. Nothing direct. Nothing that could be traced back to me, just doubts. He was laid off 2 months later, and then came the beautiful part. The part I hadn't even planned, but that karma delivered like a gift. Marcus and Sophie's relationship imploded spectacularly. Turns out when you build a relationship on lies and betrayal, it doesn't have a strong foundation. Who knew? They started fighting, publicly, on social media where everyone could see. Sophie found messages on Marcus's phone from another woman, because of course she did. Once a cheater, always a cheater. She put him on blast, detailed posts about his cheating, his lies, how he'd done the same thing to her that he'd done to me. The irony was delicious. Marcus retaliated by revealing that Sophie had been the one to pursue him, that she'd actively worked to break us up, that she'd been manipulative and calculating. Their mutual destruction was public and messy and everything I could have hoped for. Within 6 months of their relationship going public, they were both single, both unemployed, and both completely radioactive in Seattle's tight-knit professional community. Meanwhile, I was thriving. My new job was incredible. I was working with amazing clients, leading a talented team, making more money than I ever had. I'd moved into a beautiful condo downtown, bigger and better than the place I'd shared with Marcus. I started dating again. Nothing serious at first, just casual dates to prove to myself that I could trust again, that not everyone was like Sophie and Marcus. And then I met James. James was a photographer, divorced with a 10-year-old daughter, kind in a way that felt genuine rather than performative. He didn't love bomb me or rush things. He just showed up, consistently, honestly. We took it slow, really slow. I was upfront about what I'd been through, about my trust issues, about the fact that I needed time. "I'm not going anywhere," he'd say. "Take all the time you need." And he meant it. A year after Sophie's betrayal, James and I were serious, really serious, building something real that was based on honesty and respect and actual love rather than just chemistry and convenience. I heard through the grapevine that Sophie had moved to Portland. Fresh start, trying to rebuild her career and her reputation somewhere she wasn't known as that woman who slept with her best friend's fiancé. Marcus was still in Seattle, working some low-level job that was a massive step down from where he'd been, living in a studio apartment in a bad part of town. And me, I was happy, genuinely, authentically happy in a way I hadn't been, even before everything fell apart. Because here's what I learned. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that could have happened. Marcus and Sophie did me a favor. They removed themselves from my life before I married the wrong person. Before I wasted more years on a friendship that was one-sided. Before I built a life with people who didn't value me. Yes, it hurt. God, it hurt so much. The betrayal, the lies, the loss of 2 people I'd loved and trusted, but it also freed me. Freed me to find real love with someone who actually deserved me. Freed me to succeed professionally without the weight of maintaining relationships with people who'd only ever taken from me. freed me to build the life I actually wanted rather than the life I thought I was supposed to want. 2 years after the affair came to light, I got engaged to James, a small, intimate proposal on a weekend trip to Vancouver. Nothing elaborate, just the two of us and a moment that felt right. We planned a small wedding, 30 people, just close friends and family who'd actually supported me through everything, people who'd earned their place in my life. The week before the wedding, I got a message on Instagram from Sophie. "Andy, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. Not because things didn't work out with Marcus, but because I destroyed the best friendship I ever had. You deserved better than what I did to you. I hope you're happy. I hope you found someone who treats you the way you deserve to be treated." I read the message 3 times. Part of me wanted to respond, to tell her off, to explain all the ways she'd hurt me, to make sure she understood the depth of her betrayal. But then I realized she didn't deserve my energy. Not anymore. I deleted the message without responding. And you know what? It felt good. Really good. Not because I was being petty, but because I genuinely didn't need closure from her. I'd moved on in a way she clearly hadn't. My wedding was perfect. Small and intimate and filled with people who actually loved me. James cried during his vows. His daughter, our daughter now, gave a speech about how happy she was that I was joining their family. I didn't think about Sophie at all that day. Didn't think about Marcus. They were ghosts from a past life that had no power over me anymore. 3 years after the betrayal, I ran into Sophie at a coffee shop in Seattle. Pure coincidence. She was apparently back in town for work. She looked different, older, tired. The spark that had made her so magnetic was gone, replaced with something dimmer. "Andrea," she said, stopping when she saw me. "Hi." "Hi, Sophie." Awkward silence. "You look good," she said finally. Really good. Happy. "I am," I said honestly. "I heard you got married. Congratulations." "Thank you." More silence. "I meant what I said in that message," Sophie said quietly. "I'm sorry for all of it. You were the best friend I ever had, and I destroyed it because I was selfish and stupid. I think about it all the time, about what I lost." I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no lingering hurt, just nothing. "I hope you're doing well, Sophie," I said, and I meant it. Not because I forgave her, but because her life didn't matter to me anymore. Her happiness or unhappiness had no impact on mine. "I'm trying," she said. "It's been hard. The reputation thing, you know. Seattle's a small world." "It is," I agreed. She waited for me to say something else, to offer forgiveness or friendship, or even just acknowledgement of her pain. I didn't. "I should go," I said instead. "My husband's waiting for me." I walked away without looking back, and as I got in the car where James was waiting, scrolling through his phone and smiling at something our daughter had texted him, I realized something. Sophie and Marcus didn't just lose me. They lost the future they could have had with someone who would have been loyal, supportive, and genuinely caring. Someone who would have helped them become better people. Instead, they got each other, and then they got karma. And me? I got everything I actually deserved. A partner who respects me, a career I love, a life built on honesty and real connection. So, do I feel good about what happened, about the way I handled it? Hell yes. Did they deserve it? Absolutely. Sometimes revenge isn't about what you do to people. Sometimes it's about removing yourself from their lives and letting them live with the consequences of their choices. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well while they self-destruct and watching from a distance while karma does what karma does best. My name is Andrea, and this is how I learned that the best way to win is to refuse to play their game at all.